everyone. And with us. I would. I mean, we still operate heavily within the real estate market because we're advising clients on what to buy for the short-term rental market. So we're very much involved in it. In fact, only last year I advised on well over 75 property transactions. We've done over $250 million worth of transactions since I opened up the company. This is advisory on it. So we are still very much involved in it. It is a core principle of what we do. I would suggest around 65-70% of our register I've advised on that or had something to do with the initial purchasing of the property or whatever that situation may be. So I would advise anyone to do their due diligence on this market because it's very hard to escape how fast this market has grown. I understand from some of the larger real estate consultancy firms around the world, it's the fastest growing market on the planet. And this is a city, not a country, remember, Dubai. So it's quite astounding how this has progressed. So it's a wonderful thing to see. Of course, the economy is doing fantastically from this. But for anyone coming in, just make sure that you get the right advice with it. Because you can now find where prices have moved up so high. Of course, this will affect your return. So the dynamic of the city is changing. The different locations, different communities to buy in that are offering the better premiums are changing. So by working with people like AirDXB, or a company like AirDXB, or people like me, I should say, is that you do have a first-hand information on what this market is doing and where to invest. I've been here now 11 years. So it's a long time. I've seen changes happen. No, I wasn't in Dubai back in 2008, 2009 when the crash hit, but I was still very much in the real estate markets to understand different dynamics and different situations that can happen in the market, good and bad. So from anyone that's looking to invest, do your due diligence. Make sure you find somebody, if that's not AirDXB, which it should be, to help and assist you with what you should be buying, what location. Make sure you're getting the right deal. But then there's things like making sure you're doing the renovation work or the furnishing at the right price. I was just talking to our head of home furnishing, and she was explaining how a client wants to spend on a bathroom, fully refitting it out, where that budget could assist with the wrapping of a bathroom, but also refurnish the property. So why focus purely on a bathroom, putting in a new sink and toilet when you could wrap that and make that look like it's new, but then also put in whole new furnishings for the apartment? Look at what you're achieving by doing that, and just by talking to us, how you're then improving that quality of a property, which will then improve the quality of your return. Make sure you're speaking to people that know. It's become an incredibly popular thing, short-term rental, holiday homing your property. I find that it's become a bit more demanding as well. A lot of guests that we see don't particularly want to be staying in hotels for various different reasons, whether that's the location, whether it's the fact the square footage is too small for them, whether they just want to be on their own. And it's something, back when I formed the company, I was very vocal about, that hotels just weren't for me. I didn't want to walk in and have somebody, "How are you, sir? Is everything okay, sir?" I just wanted to be left alone and in my own space. I was opening up companies back in the UK in 2000. In Dubai, it wasn't really a thing, but now you have seen a lot of people talking about it, a lot of these different real estate firms opening up a separate department for it. The beauty of what we do is our sole focus is property management for short let and holiday let. We are not one of these companies that try and do everything. Now, we do talk, and I have done, about furnishing and renovation, but that is all part of getting the right product to entice the right guest at the right sum of money to make sure that our client is achieving the best possible return. I'm a man that always says, and my staff get bored of hearing it, is simplify, simplify, simplify. Don't try and do everything. Focus on one thing and get that right. And that's still a core situation, a core mantra, I should say, that AirDXB has. We actually operate under the DTCM, the Dubai Tourism, Commerce and Marketing Department. There's a lot more to do compared to other countries around the world, but the beauty of it is it's streamlined. Everybody knows what they should be doing. Do that and you're fine. And I'm a true believer that if you regulate it, then there is no grey area. There is no room for error in that sense. We look at the West and it's a very grey area. You shouldn't be doing it. Will you get away with it? Won't you get away with it? In Dubai, it's very straightforward, regulated in the way that it should be. You have to submit certain application pieces of paper for the application, so get my words out, and then you get your permit and away you go. But the beauty of it is it's very clear on what you need to do. So for us explaining to the homeowner, or us as a company, with having this authority behind us saying, this is what we need you to do, it's a clear direction for us. I'm a big fan of it because there is no second guessing, there is no questions to ask. It's do what they request, and then you're free to get on and do what we enjoy, which is making our clients money. The business dynamic has changed a lot. We've opened different departments. So we have our own furnishing team who are phenomenal, very, very good at what they do in working with different clients' budgets and making the property incredibly appealing for our guests. We have a wrapping department now, so that works hand in hand with our furnishing team. So again, we can look at different projects and really bring them up to a high grade, but working within a relatively tight budget, or in some cases a quite large budget, for our clients to make those properties look as appealing as possible. We also have a maintenance and renovations team, or company I should say, with general maintenance for the portfolio that we have, but then we are also working on different renovation projects. Now that can be within the AirDXB client portfolio where they're looking to either upgrade a property they already have or they've just bought it and they want to upgrade it. So this can be from knocking down walls, from retiling to new kitchens, new bathrooms. There's lots and lots that they can do. But what we've noticed now is word has got out that clients outside of the AirDXB management portfolio are wanting us to go and work on their homes, which is a fantastic accolade. So you're seeing different departments coming online. The company itself, in the sense of staff, has grown tremendously. I think our footfall with guests alone are thousands and thousands, tens of thousands I should say, a year. And to think that all came from myself with a laptop, scratching my head on will this or won't this work 5 years ago, but there we are, it has. We've done that because I'm not going to say anyone's better or anyone's worse, but we have ideas on what we believe works and we have a lot of data backing that up. We want to follow that data. We are here and employed by our clients to make them as much money as possible. We're not here to tell them what our opinion is or that what they should do. We're here to offer our opinion and then be guided by them. But our opinion is backed up with data. A lot of thought, a lot of understanding from our side that we can then pass on to that client and hope that he does listen to what we say, because it's their money at the end of the day. But we can back that up with the right data. So by bringing this in-house, we follow the route that we wish to undertake. And that route here now today seems to be a good one, let's say. Our furnishing team's done well over 400 projects in 2.5, 3 years. So we're busy people, and that shows a very strong demand for what we are doing and what we are offering into the market. Renovations at the moment, I believe we've got 4, 5, 6 projects on. We haven't even advertised yet. So it's showing the demand that we are in. And again, I've said this before, but I use the word just simplify, keep that process simple. So by bringing such things as those two, wrapping, we brought in-house as well, and everything in between, we can then talk openly with a client and demonstrate several case studies, or lots of case studies, of why they should follow what we're suggesting, but then it's down to them as to whether they continue to do it or not. When this was set up, it was for me, which is still a core principle of what AirDXB does, is to work with, of course, people in a generalization, but predominantly work with investors. And we advise these investors on what to buy in these areas which we believe you're going to get the highest return. We can then step in and do the furnishing. Again, this is how we've seen the company grow and why we have the renovation work we can then do. And then, of course, it comes to us from a management perspective. So if we look at how this dynamic has changed, I would love to see the stats, but we don't have them, as to how many more companies are formed post the pandemic, and I'm willing to say there's an awful lot. There's a lot of press, there's a lot of exposure. Now, if you bring a management company on board, you have to pay a fee. So you are initially losing income, which I quite understand. But you gain an awful lot more by instructing and working with a management company. A lot of people, and I hear it a lot, is how difficult is it? It can't be that hard. All you're doing is dropping a key off to someone. It is not. I could bore you now for hours and hours, if not days, probably weeks, of the stories that we have and the situations we've come across where things are not straightforward as what people believe them to be. By having a management company that knows and understands, there are multiple reasons, but to highlight a few: pricing. How do you price your property? Why are you pricing it differently during seasons? How early are you changing that pricing? Whether that's summer. Of course, in Dubai, as we know, the market does drop, a lot less tourism, etc. But when are you dropping that pricing? You're doing it a day before, a week before, a month before. Even with high season, how high do the prices go? There's that situation with pricing. You can only learn that. You can't be taught it. You can't be told it. You can only see that after months, years, or in my case, 5 years of doing this, to understand the pattern and how that works. Now, there is software that you can buy, but how does the software know what your furnishing is, what your view is? It doesn't. So with us, we price each property to its strengths, and we actually do it manually. I've never come across a company that does this, but our figures prove, how effective it is. Here now today, we're running at 97.2% occupancy and have done now consecutively around that figure for the last 8 weeks. As a company, we've been 94% average occupancy for the last 4 years. So it's a significant figure, and that demonstrates that perhaps what we are doing is the right way to do it. Now, it is incredibly laborious, but we are here to perform for our clients. We are here to put their best interests first. And if that means we've got to work late, then we've got to work late. But what I enjoy about doing the pricing in particular is that it gives me first-hand, at the coalface data. What is that market doing? We have a full team behind us, so whether that's a guest relations team, whether that's an operations team, that know and understand how to deal with guests, know how to deal with a guest when there's a leak and lots of water is coming through the ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning. We know how to deal with that. We know how to deal with the booking platform that they've booked through when if a complaint is raised. Nothing is perfect. Things are going to happen that you can't foresee. But how reactive can you be on that? Are you going to be reactive at 2:30 in the morning? We are. We have a 24/7 guest relations team reacting to any guest inquiry, issue, whatever that may be. If you are doing it yourself, are you going to be up at 3 a.m. dealing with a leak? I don't know. Our own maintenance team, as I discussed, the reason that we brought this in-house, they're incredibly reactive. When you're relying on a third party, will they turn up? Won't they turn up? How much are they going to charge you? The people coming in, are they presentable? They're going to do the right job? Our staff are. They are there. We have staff who are on a maintenance team who are out and about in Dubai all the time. So if there is an issue in different communities, they're not far away from it and can be reactive very, very quickly. I've already touched on the whole furnishing concept. We understand that market. We know what sells. We're here, and I explain this to clients, we're not here to furnish for what we want. With all respect, we're not here to furnish for what our client wants. We're here to furnish for what we know the guest wants, the market. We want to make sure that we are getting bookings and achieving income for that client. Guests don't necessarily read descriptions. They look at the pretty pictures, they look at the location, they look at the price point, and then they will book. I'm not saying everybody does that, but we have ways of understanding what guests are looking at, and majority will look at those photos. Now, this does come back to, again, presenting the property in the best possible light. That's the furnishing. The furnishing doesn't look good, but the photography is great. You're still not going to succeed. So make sure that property is presented. And it goes back to another point as well. This market's there's a lot of competition, as I was explaining earlier. So you have to up your game with that. But anyway, back onto the photos. So if you're going to spend money and get the product right, you've got to make sure that it's presented right, because why do half the job? Do the whole job. So we're very different in the market again. We will put up onto Airbnb anything between 60, 70 and 80 pictures. Some people question why we do this, and we say, well, there's multiple reasons. One, because we're explaining to that guest via the picture form what property they are booking and what they're checking into. We have nothing to hide. In fact, we're so proud of what we're doing, we want to show it off in every possible light. If there is any concerns or questions about the property, what it offers, what it doesn't offer, a lot of it is in the photos anyway. So if we're seeing that a guest predominantly is looking more at photos rather than reading descriptions, why aren't we pushing that as hard as we can? Why aren't we getting, whether it's the clarity right, whether it's the angles right, or whether it's the quantity of photos right? We as AirDXB want to put as much resource into that, whether that's financial or manpower, to get that right. Again, that reflects we're a 94% average occupancy agency for the last 4 years, and here now in summer we're having around 95, 96%. So it works. From our perspective, yes, we charge a fee, but when we look at how much more money we're going to make that client, 2, 3, 4 times what our fee is, most likely, because we have a knowledge and an understanding, whether that's the pricing, whether it's being reactive to maintenance issues to save bookings, whether it's presenting the property with furnishing in the right situation, whether it's having a guest relations team that knows how to conduct themselves with a guest to keep them happy. We have these different resources to make sure that we are billing at the highest possible rate. Then when you look at the fee that we're charging, it's not a lot. In fact, I should put it up. There was a different market for every property. It depends on how saturated that market can be. Now, what I've learned and seen over the time is studios, phenomenal. They're a great entry price. They're the least expensive. Again, depends on location, so take everything I'm saying with a general pinch of salt. Is that they are the cheapest entry point if you're an investor wanting to get in the market. However, when prices drop, let's say over summer, people's disposable income and affordability, it doesn't. So they can now afford a one bed over a studio. They would far rather a one bedroom apartment, because of course you've got a wall dividing the bedroom and the sitting room, but also what we see is over summer is the average guest stay is a lot longer. So they would prefer to have more space. So over summer, I'm not saying that it can't be booked, but studios tend to be a little bit slow and a little bit harder. One bed's the most popular, but of course everybody's doing it. So again, this brings back to my point, you need to look at how that market itself and how much stock is in that market. Now, when you get to 2 bedroom plus, this is now an interesting market and something that I've been shouting about from the rooftops for a while. When you look at nationalities, whether that's Arab, whether that's Western, whether that's Indian, they do traveling families. Now that could be, let's say, 2 brothers that are bringing their families together and want to be in one space and also want to save money. 4.5 years ago, I'd opened the company, we're about 6 months in or so, 2 English brothers staying in JBR. They each had 3 children. Okay, so that's 8 people total. They booked a 4 bedroom apartment with me in JBR. They paid 1,500 dirhams a night. So I wanted to, because I was doing market research as I always am. So why are you here? Why didn't you go somewhere else? And they said, well, there's a very popular 5-star hotel opposite, which was 1,000 dirhams a night per bedroom. That's 4 bedrooms. That's 4,000 dirhams a night, whereas they could all stay under one roof. 2 of them had babies, so of course having sinks, kitchens, having those facilities to accommodate, they're paying 1,500 dirhams. That's not a little saving, that's not a great saving, that is a phenomenal saving. So when you look at 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, if you start looking at these sorts of target audiences, the saving that they are making is so significant. And also, these 2 brothers, as I was talking about, love the idea that their children, cousins, were then integrated, having fun, playing. They saw this, and in fact I was there and I was watching them run around. That stuck in my mind, and in fact 4.5 years later I'm talking about it, but that just justifies why you go for these larger properties. Now, if any investor comes to me and asks what I should buy, I will also go to that market, because to a degree, it's relatively untapped at the moment, because everybody will focus on one bed, because that is the most popular, but there's a lot of stock, and studio because of the cheap entry point. So 2 bedroom plus is a great situation to go into. Villas, of course, do well. It depends where you are, whether that's the Palm Jumeirah. Of course, that's a bit of a unicorn property. Well, it is a unicorn property because it's a detached villa with its private beach in front of it, which there aren't many of those in Dubai. You tend to have to go to a hotel or you're in an apartment. Also, what you find with these larger accommodations, as I said, when you have a larger family using them, is do they want to be in a villa community where they have to rent a car or book taxis? Nothing's particularly in walking distance, it is, but there's probably the local convenience shop, which is 20-30 minutes away. Or would you rather have a 3-4 bedroom apartment in the middle of the marina where the beach is 5 minutes walk away? You would rather that. So we're seeing those type of properties doing well, and the big one is in low season, because as I explained earlier, people's disposable income does not drop, but rents do. So I've got several people staying with us now. It's a single person, but he's booked a 2 bedroom because he wants a 2nd bedroom as an office, and he's booked it for 3 months. So very interesting. And also what we do see is pre-low season, the fastest to book are 2 bedrooms plus for over low season. So again, it's what we're finding is that people are wanting that additional space, and where rents drop so heavily, around 50%, they can afford it. So they're thinking, well, why not? This property, which is, and again, I'm giving you just a general idea, this property would have been 1,000 dirhams, now I can get it for 500 or 400. Whereas a 1 bedroom will be the same sort of money in high season. So they're getting far more square footage for half the value. And even as a single person that wants a separate office, they're saying, well, look, this is a great deal. I'm here for 2 or 3 months. It's hot outside, so I'm going to spend more time indoors. So that type of product does incredibly well, 2 bedroom plus. You want to do your due diligence on which locations to go into. Now we are, which I I believe so, but the only company or short-let company that does a research report. So we actually look at what units are popular in the sense of bedrooms, what locations are popular. This is for the management and short-let, but what we also dive into is what the general property market is doing, which is buying and selling. So with this report, you get a generalization of what the market is doing. Now, that's a great first step in. Of course, feel free to reach out to any of us at AirDXB who can then help and assist. We do have an AirDXB investments department, which solely looks after people that are looking to buy to come into this market. So we can look at these different areas and communities and submit different properties, giving you a general analysis of what the forecast is for your return, but also how it's performed in the sense of price rises itself, because you're not only purchasing it for your return, you're purchasing it for a capital growth exercise as well. So do your due diligence. Now, what we also have is something called, we just call them the area guides, where we have, it's a one page, it's very simple, on specific communities around Dubai, where we look at short-term versus long-term, what the different returns are versus your average purchase price, and it gives you, again, a generalization. Again, we like to keep things simple, but it's a great tool to have to walk into these different communities to understand how that's going to work. So from our research reports to our area guides, this will give you a great idea as to what this market is doing and what step you then want to take. Work with someone that you can trust, not with someone that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. A lot of brokers are on a commission-only structure. You need to make sure that they are looking after your interests and not necessarily the commission check that's coming in. At AirDXB, that's not the case. Everyone that works is working for that client to retain and work with for the years to come. There's a lot of clients that I'm still working with, and a lot of clients are approaching me now that, Greg, you advised me to buy this 3 years ago. Let's sell it now because prices have gone up 20, 30, 40%, and we can now cash in. At AirDXB, we have that reputation with a client. This is how we work with our clients. We're not here to sell one unit and not talk to that client again, because they will then come on with us and we then do the property management, we can do the furnishing, we do the renovation, we then make them those projected incomes, and then it might be further down the line they're looking to sell. So we effectively have a marriage, which a few of my clients do say, which does make me laugh, with them, because we are looking as effectively asset managers at their entire start to finish process. We had a great situation at Palm Views where a client approached us, I would suggest now 3 years ago, who was looking to invest into the market. We found a unit for him on the Palm Jumeirah, a studio apartment. The purchase price was hovering around the 850, 900 mark. We then went in and advised on the furnishing, which we did. We also did the wrapping, which we did. We then managed that property, achieving a double-digit net return to that client for 2 to 3 years after this situation, after he purchased it, beg your pardon. And then he decided he wanted to sell it. So what we have at AirDXB is we're not only working with people that are looking to buy, we have a lot of people that are looking to sell. They've bought property and they want to let it go. So we have a phenomenal list of different buyers and sellers where we can piece them together. You've got people that want to exit because they've made X amount of money, and we've got people that want to enter. And the beauty of it, we can say to them, is that we know how this property is performed because we've been managing it. Here are the returns to give you an idea of what has been achieved and what will continue, we hope, to be achieved going forward. So with respect to this Palm Views property that I was talking about, is that we then sold it on behalf of the client to somebody who then was looking at the level of returns that could be made, understood that it was already set up from a short-let market, could see that it was already delivering in the short-let market, quick transaction and done. And that client achieved around 30% more than what he paid for it. So from working with us, we found him a very reasonably priced unit, furnished it and upgraded it to a level where he received way north of 10% net return year on year, and then sold it at a capital add value of 30% plus, which is what we're all about. And it wouldn't just be that client. We could do this for many other clients, except they don't want to sell. They're enjoying these 10% plus net returns that we're delivering. So that's just one specific case that we've done recently, sold recently, that really shows what we're capable of. And it's great to see these different departments and different people that work in them working together and helping each other to succeed. So whether that's someone finding the property, that person coming in and furnishing it, delivering on those returns, and then someone coming in and saying, look, we can now sell this on your behalf for X amount more money, to a client that we have on our books that we've worked with for X amount of time. So we can do from a start to finish process and make our clients a lot of money. would be an interesting one. We cannot hide, nor will I hide. You've got to confront negative situations that the long-term market is moving at a very fast pace. When I set the business up, we were making clients 30, 40, 50% more than what they could have done on long term, and consistently did that for the last 3.5 years. It's only in the last year that the Dubai economy in general has progressed astronomically, fastest in the world. Housing prices and how much they've gone up, is that the long-term rents have done the same. So these magnificent higher level returns you could have achieved have been tightened up. Now, this isn't a problem. Glass is always half full at AirDXB, not half empty. As I explained to many of our clients, is that means that there's a shift. There's a lot of short-term rental landlords that are now moving to long-term. Well, that's okay, because all that's going to do is reduce the numbers of short-term rental properties. And what does that mean? It means the prices per night for those short-term rental properties are only going to go one way, and that is up. So as I've explained to clients, just hold off. I know that there's going to be, some checks being dangled and people saying that this is what we can get you. Sit tight and see what happens. Now, what's very interesting is we've seen 6 properties, bear in mind we're in August at present, 6 properties that have received record rates per night that I've ever seen, and these properties have been on our books for 3-4 years. So is this something? Is this a tremor to show that this market is going to continue to grow? I hope so, because it's a supply and demand scenario. Now, that's happening now. Where are we going to be in 4, 5, 6 years' time? We look at Emirates like Ras Al Khaimah, who are now working with a very popular casino hall out in Las Vegas, who are now opening. There's a lot of conversation about gaming licenses. Will this move into different Emirates? Who knows? I don't know. But if something like that comes to Dubai, then that is going to add a significant value to guests wanting to come to Dubai, and I believe you'll find there will be a lot more guests coming to Dubai, which will then of course push that market up. It all depends on how Dubai grows and what direction it goes in, or the UAE goes in, as to how this market will go. I believe that the market itself will continue to grow, but at what pace I don't know, because it all depends on what the long-term market will be. Now, today, we are scanning the market. We're talking to several different companies, authorities, whatever the case may be. And our general feeling is that, in fact, stock levels are dropping in Dubai for short lets. We don't have data to back that up. I need to make that perfectly clear. This is just different situations, different companies, as I said, different authorities we're talking to, who are explaining that it seems to be, dropping, which is, again, as I said, is a great thing. And in fact, AirDXB is still growing as a company within this. So it's both testament to what we're doing and how we are doing that right. But we'll have to see where we are in 5 years. Who knows? Nothing's off the table. We will have to wait and see. We love working in Dubai. We work hard in Dubai. We have got into our groove in Dubai. A lot of the structure the company has is Dubai focused. We are pushing ourselves hard. Our results are getting better and better. Why take our eye off that ball? So we are very focused here in Dubai and what it offers. We know the market in Dubai. We get it. I've been here 11 years, almost 12 years. A lot of the team have been here for summers, more than I, but a lot of them have been very close to that. So we know and understand it. It's a phenomenal dynamic. I've seen lots of different things happen in the general real estate market and also the short let market. And this is all data, this is all understanding, this is all experience, which is a key word here. You take your eye off this ball because you want to open up something else. What then happens on something you understand very well, it may then fall by the wayside. So never say never. If the right situation was to appear, then it's a consideration, but we're very, very focused on Dubai at this time and making sure that we just continue to push hard for our clients. This is a very interesting segment that we are looking at the moment. Again, I don't want to give too much away because it's our own internal data, but we are considering and we are moving towards potentially offering different locations, apartments, villas, etc. for filming. What we are seeing is that with our level of furnishing, which is a great accolade again, I mean, I still don't quite believe it. I have to, and I know because I can see it, but it's just great to see how this company has moved the way it has, is that people want to use our locations for filming. So whether that's adverts, from a commercial retail perspective, whether that's influencers doing different bits and pieces, the companies are fantastic, very, very polite, incredibly respectful towards different homes, because we've been working with some at the moment. And the returns are triple, quadruple what a guest would pay to stay there the night. So this is a segment that we are looking into very keenly at the moment, and something I think I'll just say watch this space.